Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast of Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who, after seeing what's going on with the Tampa Bay Rays this past couple days, is saying maybe being a Red Sox fan isn't so bad. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. No teenage storylines involved in my team, so that's nice.
Must be nice.
Yeah, that's got to be fun.
Yeah, well, my Wander Franco T-shirt and I had a giveaway that got a full-size Wander Franco bat. Those don't quite have the warm and fuzzy feeling with those things right now, Kyle.
Yeah, I could see why. You have a full-size bat?
Yeah, there was a giveaway, so I actually have two of them because my girlfriend was at the game with me, so we each got these full-size bats. Also, I mean, the fact that on the night that news story came out, it was a free Wander Franco hat giveaway to kids 14 and under is like, okay, the baseball gods are just like picking on me now.
It's just hilarious at that point.
Yeah,
that's rough, buddy.
Yeah, well, at least Shane McClanahan is going to miss all of this year and next year too. At least we got that going for us.
Yeah, this feels like last time all over again. It's tough. Baseball's tough.
Baseball is tough. On the bright side, I'm I'm in the process of getting a house right now. I put a down offer on it and everything. So life-wise, things are going very well for me.
Yeah. Well, you're not dating 14-year-olds. So that's a good start.
That's true. Yeah. Why would you do that? You can't even you can't even get a house with someone that way.
That's one of the many reasons you should not date a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Adults in the chat, don't date 14-year-olds. That's my number one rule in life.
Yes. Yeah. Or younger. It's not like that's the one age. Just Off
Even
to a great start. Yeah. Off to a great start here. Rays are up 5-0 against the Giants. We're back. Rays are back. Desperately need that. Kyle, before everyone clicks off and leaves, we have a football show to discuss today. People are calling this the best division in football.
There are people saying that. I think it's up for debate. It's my second best division in football, but I am also biased because my team's in the AFC East. But I think this is one of the best divisions in football. This is going to be really competitive. I mean, all four of these teams are extremely optimistic this season, right?
Yeah, every team has playoff aspirations. Every team, and I think that you could argue that this is, I don't know. I think some people would maybe argue that the worst team in this division is better than the Patriots that we talked about last week. I'm not sure if you would argue that. We'll get into it. But, these are four teams with, I would say, four good quarterbacks, if not great quarterbacks in the mix here. It's just a very, there's so much to talk about with these four teams.
Yeah, there really is. I don't know if I'm ready to call Kenny Pickett great, but he did look good in his year one, and we'll see how he does in year two. So, a lot of intrigue here, a lot to debate. I mean, you want to get right into it?
Yeah, let's get into it. Who do you have finishing fourth in this division?
Man, I keep racking my brain around this one. I got the Cleveland Browns finishing fourth.
Okay.
Like I said, I really like all four of these teams, so I don't really want to say like the fourth best team is anything disrespectful. Like, I think the Browns have a chance not only to make the playoffs, like I think they have an outside shot at the Super Bowl. Like, I think this team is that close. So, they got a lot going for them. I guess if I'm nitpicking, a couple concerns. This defense sucked. It was really bad last year, and it had to do with the league worst rush defense. Which is impressively bad because there are some bad run defenses out there. They were really bad run defense last year. They've added some pieces on the defensive line, but it felt like they added a lot of pieces to defense last year. So what's going on with this defense, and can this be fixed? They want to play fast, which I understand, but they also sacrifice size doing that. And I think they're a little small, especially at linebacker. Those are some of my concerns with the defense. Offensively, I mean, this all comes down to Deshaun Watson and what is he going to be? Because he was atrociously bad last season. And if he's bad again, then, I mean, you could probably chalk up the Browns being a disaster for the next 4 or 5 years, right? So, I mean, that's a bit of a concern. But at the same time, if he's good, if he bounces back, you're probably looking at this team being a Super Bowl contender. So that's the variance that this team has right now. Don't love some of their secondary options. We're going to get into all of that. But, I mean, overall, I think this is a good team, But there is a huge variance between a team that I could see winning 6 or 7 games and a team that could win 12 or 13 games for me.
Yeah. I mean, we gotta talk about the Watson stuff. I have him as a tier 3 quarterback right now because like he could be tier 1 this year. Like that's totally
Yeah.
possible. He was tier 6 last year, and there's not even 6 tiers. I mean, he just wasn't an NFL quarterback last year. Like he wasn't at that caliber. Now, for a valid reason, had been away from football for quite some time. But I kind of feel like, we've compared Watson and Wilson on the field to each other, Russell Wilson, simply because similar situations of just demanding a trade, getting a trade, and then sucking. At least with the Broncos, they kind of like have their pride. If this all goes south, of like, hey, we made a move, we thought he would be good, he ended up sucking. Like, what are we supposed to do? For Watson, you also don't even have that because at least before you were the scrappy losers. Now you're just the losers. If this all goes south, there is so much riding on Watson becoming Deshaun Watson again.
Yeah, this entire franchise is riding on it because there's no backup alternative. I mean,
Right.
Joshua Dobbs, I mean, we saw how that went week 17 last year. Maybe Kellen Mond has, second career. Kellen Mond comes through.
He was so bad in the preseason. That guy, I don't ever he has never had a good throw in an NFL uniform. I don't know what happened with him.
It's all good, man. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, interesting prospect. But
and he has had a good snap in the preseason.
Yeah, you got to think he's years away from being ready to start though and be a competent starter.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean it's all riding on Watson. This is what this team did, and I think it's one of the interesting things about not finding a way to bring back Jacoby Brissett. Obviously, is going to be theoretically given an opportunity to compete for the starting job in Washington, but he might not even get that job. Why don't you, if you're not 1000% sure Watson's ready or 100% back, why don't you solidify that backup quarterback position? Because this seems screwed if he's not ready. Just straight up screwed.
I think it's kind of like there's that famous quote of like a Colts coach. They asked like, "Hey, how come we don't give more reps with the backup when Peyton Manning? Why is Peyton Manning getting all the snaps?" And he's like, "Well, if I'll clean it up for the YouTube version, but if Peyton Manning gets hurt, we're screwed. So like, we're just going to practice with Peyton Manning." I think that's just their mindset is like, if Watson sucks, we're just going to suck next year.
Yeah. Brissett was pretty good last year. I don't know. So
I don't know if he would take a backup job though. I think he's going to at least take a job that he has a chance to compete.
I guess that's fair. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I still kind of bet on him to bounce back just because,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was so freaking good. It wouldn't make
Yeah.
any sense for this to just like not be possible anymore. He did look rusty though last year.
Yeah, no denying that. Kevin Stefanski, former coach of the year, might be on his last shot here if things go south again. I have him as a tier 4 head coach currently.
Yeah, I think this is definitely his last shot too. He's got to prove that he can make this work. He's taken, if you look at his time, like early offensive coordinator days with the Vikings, you look at his time with Cleveland, he's taken lesser talent and been able to do more on offense. Can he do that again? I think that's still going to look a lot like the Vikings offense, which would make sense. They have a terrific running back, maybe the best running back in football. And so you have that to build off of. The problem is they have to look better than they did last year, which wasn't good enough. And I mean, they lost multiple games because this offense also wasn't able to come through along with the defense being bad.
Yeah, completely agree. The weapons there's some concerns here. Nick Chubb is great. I'm going tier 1 running back room. I think him alone is fantastic. The receivers though, Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper was really good last year, or at least like good last year. I think that he had a good year with Cleveland, and clearly they feel good about that trade. Where they barely gave anything up for him. Other than having to pay for his contract. David Njoku did take that next step finally. He finally kind of was the guy who we thought he could be coming out of college. He's really their number 2 option, which isn't ideal, but he's okay at it. I just think there's a little bit of a depth issue. I don't know if we're going to get the Elijah Moore breakout year. I don't know if Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to. Again, I like him in his role as like a number 4 guy. I think he's good there. Is David Bell going to take the next step? Are we going to get Jalen Dardine to do some stuff? Is Anthony Schwartz finally going? I mean, he might be cut, I've heard. So a tier 4 wide receiving room due to the depth, even though they do have some pieces here.
Yeah, I think it's really concerning. Cooper, like you said, he's a stud. He's got 8 touchdowns or more in 3 of the last 4 seasons. He's got 1,100 yards or more in 3 of the last 4 seasons. I mean, you could probably chalk him up to something around those lines again, as long as he gets competent quarterback play. So yeah, I mean, he's a stud. He's going to do what he's going to do. Donovan Peoples-Jones is the poor man's Gabe Davis, where I think the idea of him's a lot better than what he actually is week to week. But I'll have a cool couple plays, so that's fun. Like you said,
like Scotty Miller, another guy in that thing.
Yeah. And Juku's another one of those guys, like you said. He was so boom or bust his entire career. Last year was all boom, so you got to give him the credit there. I guess the one guy to kind of keep an eye on potentially is like a Cedric Tillman. Like, I don't know. There was times in Tennessee where he was the best receiver. And, everyone talked about Jalen Hyatt last year.
Yeah.
Tillman was awesome for that team when he was healthy. Dealt with some injuries and that kind of thing, but he could be a guy that could really impress for them too. So we'll see if they can get that secondary guy, but they really need that guy to prove himself.
Yeah, he was the 3rd round pick. Tillman, the 3rd round pick they just drafted. And 3rd round picks do have a history of succeeding. This offensive line, I ranked as my favorite offensive line in football. I mean, you could argue Wills and Conklin aren't coming off of their best seasons, but they're very good players. I'm not concerned about that. Joel Batono, I still have no idea how to say his name. I've never said it right once in my life. Ethan Pockett and Wyatt Teller, best interior offensive line in football, best offensive line in football, in my opinion, tier 1.
No notes. This is a good group. Like you said, you want some bounce back seasons from some of these guys, but there's still more sample size of them being good than bad. So I'm not worried about any of those guys. This is a really good group as long as they stay healthy.
Yeah, so, they'll run the ball a lot, run play actions. They should be effective at it. If Watson's good, this should be a good offense, I think.
Yeah, I like DeJuan Jones too. I forgot to mention that. They drafted him. He's like 7'2" or something like that. No, I'm just kidding. He is huge though. But so they maybe have some depth here too.
Yeah, I made a preseason video on him, and there was a clip where I was taking it, and I'm like, okay, so there's a tight end line. No, that's not a tight end. That was just a guard next to him. He's just that big compared to the other offensive linemen. It makes them look so small. The defense for the Browns, like you said, on paper, this should be very good. On paper, we don't have a lot of concerns, but in practice, did not quite work out that way. And I think it really all comes down to Denzel Ward, being a typical top 10 corner and then just playing terrible last year. And this is just the life of the corner. It's so hard to predict these guys and why for some reason they'll just have terrible years. If he comes back, this could be a really good secondary. Greg Newsome the second, Martin Emerson. That's a good corner trio. Rodney McLeod and Juan Thornhill at the safety position. This could be a good secondary if everyone lives up to their potential. But are they going to? I don't know. So it's tier 3 for now.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I definitely see the upside here, but at the same time, like you said, Ward wasn't good last year, and that was a big part of their kind of failure. And then the other part, I like Juan Thornhill, but I mean, I might think John Johnson's a little bit of a better player, and he didn't succeed with this team last year. So, how is this going to look with this? One guy hoping to bounce back, another new face you're bringing into this mix. How is this going to work with this secondary? Because I like cohesion with my group. I think that's one of the things in secondaries that I think can be underrated is the chemistry of keeping guys together multiple years. I think this is one of the things the Ravens do really well. And if they do lose somebody, they're able to kind of just put next guy up who's been in the system for a number of years. I just don't think this team has that. And I don't think it worked last year, and I don't know why.
Yeah, very weird. And for the front 7, there's some superstars in this front 7, or one particular superstar, Myles Garrett, debatably the best edge rusher in the NFL. But the other defensive lineman, okay, Dalvin Tomlinson. I know you've always been a big fan of Dalvin Tomlinson's game. But then, the rest of the guys here, Ogabina Okoronkwo, Alex Wright at the edge position. You have Jordan Elliott as an interior defensive lineman. There's not a ton of depth here on a defensive line. I like Anthony Walker. I like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. But what's there's some depth issues here on the defensive line. I'm still gonna go tier 2 pass rush. You got Myles Garrett. Worst case scenario, you're
Tier
tier 2.
2. You have
Yeah.
Zadarius Smith.
Oh, they do have Zadarius Smith. I did not put that in my notes. I forgot about the addition. I think I did this before. No, I don't know why I forgot that. Yeah, you're right. Tier 1. Forgot about the Zadarius Smith. I'm still gonna go tier 3 run defense. But yeah, bad job me. You're right.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. I'm okay with that one because, like you said, Garrett and Smith is going to be special.
Mm-hmm.
But this was like a tier 17 run defense last year, so
Yeah.
there's a lot to fix there. And not to mention like Tomlinson, that's not really like his strong suit. Like he is fine against the run, but he's better against the pass for an interior guy. So how is he going to help improve that run defense? I don't know. Is it going to be someone like Shelby Harris potentially? He's obviously very good at that, but he's 32 now. So how much longer can he keep doing that at that level? It just kind of comes down to how those guys kind of mesh with this system, and does that run defense just get better because the talent's better?
Yeah, it's a very boomer bust team. I mean, it really is. This is a team that I feel like I could see it going several different directions. I think my official record prediction though, I'm going 9-8. I think I have concerns with this team, and like I feel like there's almost no chance they end up 9-8. I feel like they're either going to be like 13-4 or like 6-11. Like they feel like they're such a boomer bust team. But for now, that's what my official prediction is going to be.
Yeah. If this team isn't double-digit wins, is Stefanski fired?
I mean, I think certainly if they don't make the playoffs, which I don't think 9-8 will be good enough to get in the AFC. I think so. I think that and again, okay, if Watson sucks, I mean, maybe he's still fired because Watson sucks. But like, if Watson gets hurt day 1 and they win 9 games with DTR as the starting quarterback, okay, but realistically, no exception, no notable things go wrong, and they go 9-8 or worse. Yeah, I think he's gone.
Yeah, I think so too. But like you said, there is so much variance. I don't know what to believe with this team. This feels. I mean, the thing that's so goofy is like we went through this whole thing. This feels like a vibes team and not like an actual analytically based team. Like, because you're gonna
Uh-huh.
look at this roster and be like, this roster kicks ass. This team should win 12 games next year. But then
Mhm.
like the vibes were so off last year, and the vibes. I don't know. It feels like you're picking vibes over analytics here.
Yeah, which is, yeah, it's weird because obviously, I'm an analytics fan. They're a very analytically inclined team, but it's just like, it does have to hit at a certain point too. Yeah, you have to see it.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, this is the breaking point for several people on this roster, including most of the coaching staff.
But Watson's there. He's good.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere on that contract.
Yeah. 3 teams remain in the second toughest division in football, according to you. Bengals, Ravens, and Steelers still on the board. Who will be finishing third in this division?
All right, I have to put him here because I feel like it'd be silly at this point to put him higher. But they are still my sleeper team in the AFC. I think they're a fascinating team to watch. That is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
Listen, I have him in this spot and I have him jumping the Browns because of 2 reasons. I believe in Kenny Pickett and I believe in George Pickens. I think George Pickens has all the goods to be a number 1 wide receiver on this team and a number 1 wide receiver in the league, which is something the Steelers have been lacking. They continue to draft receivers well. They continue to develop receivers well, but they haven't had that star in a little bit now. I think Pickens can be that guy, and I think that's really going to help this team kind of hit the next level. I think it's going to help across the board too, because I think it should help Johnson continue to have good production. I think it should help someone like Allen Robinson as a third receiver, which I think is a really nice pickup. I think it could help someone like Najee Harris not see a bunch of people in the box, and I think it should obviously help Kenny Pickett, who showed some flashes of being really good his rookie season. The tackle situation is not something I love. I want to see one of these guys really step up and cement themselves. We'll see about that. And then the other thing I'm concerned about is the second cornerback, which is probably going to be a rookie. Although I like Joey Porter Jr. in the drafts, playing a rookie quarterback year 1 is always, throwing darts. So those are my concerns that are probably holding me back from putting the Steelers higher. But I think this team also has a lot of upside and maybe a little bit of a higher floor.
Yeah. Definitely an interesting team, I mean, the thing you like about the Steelers is we talk about the two most important people in every organization, Mike Tomlin and Kenny Pickett, head coach and quarterback. Kenny Pickett, I thought had a really, I have him at tier 3. I thought he had a really impressive rookie year. Now, there's a difference between being an impressive rookie and being just an impressive quarterback, right? You still have to continue to grow and get better, but he showed some really nice things. And again, Mike Tomlin certainly creates a good scenario for a young player to succeed. He's tier 1, obviously. So I think that's the positive is I do kind of feel better about really the head coach than, he's the best head coach in this division, in my opinion. And you got, 2 other coach of the years, and then Zach Taylor in the mix in this division. It's a good well-coached division, but I think Tomlin's on another level.
Tomlin is on another level. He's a Hall of Famer. Yeah, I mean, this has been a pro Mike Tomlin podcast for a long time. We've done our Mike Tomlin bit. He's fantastic. He knows how to win football games. I trust him wholeheartedly with no matter who's on the team to patch it together. The Pickett thing, like, I thought there was flashes of being really good. I think the mobility is a huge thing. And as I said before, it's just going to be how he continues to develop because, yeah, I think some of the picks were unlucky, but I also think there was some sloppy throws there too. It wasn't all perfect. And so how he continues to develop, is he going to be, is he going to develop to the next level? Like, take the next step like a Trevor Lawrence, or is it going to be a Mac Jones situation? That's the difference in year 2. The expectations are going up for him now. And we'll see how that works. We'll see how he looks.
Yeah. I think about Baker Mayfield as another example of a guy who had a good rookie year and then struggled. Although I do have to say, the situation that Mayfield was in with Freddie Kitchens and that Jones was in with Patricia, that is not what Pickett has to deal with. He is in a pretty good situation. You talked about the receivers. We like Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. I do still wonder about them depth. I mean, if Johnson and Pickens are both good outside threats and Freiermuth is the number 3, I'm good with that. That's a good wide receiving core. Would like them to have another good option. Like, I don't know what we're going to get out of Allen Robinson at this point. It's a fine flyer to take. What are we getting out of Calvin Austin? He did have that big play in the preseason, but it is just preseason. Is Miles Boykin going to do something? Is this going to be the Gunnar Olofsky show? I don't know. There's things to like about this wide receiving core, but as of right now, I'm still putting it at tier 3.
Yeah, they got to prove it. Like I said, I think Pickens has all the talent, but as I've said before on this podcast with Pickens, he's had the talent for a lot of years. Like, this wasn't a guy who, it wasn't like he came from like some small college and surprised everybody. This guy was at Georgia. And, I think he had some issues at Georgia that held him back from being what he could be and potentially being a first round pick when he went to the draft in 2022. And so can he put it all together and kind of become this guy that I think he has the potential to be? That's the biggest question I have left for Pickens, because there's all the talent in the world. We've seen the highlights. We've seen the clips. I mean, this guy there's not many guys that come by that make you say, wow, this much. And Pickens is one of those guys.
Yeah, completely agree. And then, also to round out the weapons, but if you have more to say about the receivers, you can. I'm going to go tier 4 halfback room with Najee Harris and then, Jalen Warren as the number 2 guy. I like Harris better than I think some Steelers fans like him. I think that some of the issues were more offensive line issues than his issues. But, I still don't know if it's I still don't know if he's like a great number 1 halfback at this point. So tier 4 there.
It's hard for a running back to look good with the subpar offensive line and Mitch Trubisky throwing the ball,
right?
Because nobody respects that team. That being said, he hasn't exactly, and before that he had Ben Roethlisberger for his last year, and I don't think Ben Roethlisberger could throw 15 yards at that point.
Right.
So it hasn't been ideal for him. But that being said, as a guy who was taken in the first round, which we've talked about on here, if you're taken in the first round of running back, you better be pretty darn special. He has looked far less than special.
Yeah, completely agree. I get why they made that selection when they did. It was an all-in move. It just kind of hasn't worked out. The offensive line, it feels like they've been chipping away at making this better year after year. It does feel better than we've seen it in years past. You have Broderick Jones, who they just drafted, who is a rookie, and I wasn't crazy about him coming after out of the draft, but still, definitely someone who should be at least an upgrade at left tackle. Added Isaac Seumalo, who's was very good for the Eagles last year. You have Mason Cole and James Daniels, which to fill out that interior offensive line, which I like. And then for the other tackle, it's looking like it's going to be Chukwuma Okafor, who might be the weak link in this situation. I would say it's sort of a subpar tackle, but I have a tier 3 offensive line. It's kind of a higher tier 3 offensive line. I think that they've done some good work at making this respectable again.
Yeah. Sumalo is one of my favorite off-season signings. I thought that was really good work. And I mean, especially if you're going to pair him with an athlete like Jones at left tackle, I mean, the guy's just a straight up tank. So I think that's a really nice duo, I think, on this left side. And I think that's a really, really clever signing for them to be able to get that done.
Yeah, completely agree. Let's move on to the defense. You brought up one of the concerns I'm sure people will have of Joey Porter Jr., who I wasn't as high on as well as some other people were. Like, people kind of talked about Broderick Jones and Joey Porter as both steals, whereas for me, they kind of got drafted when I thought they should have been drafted. But still, again, there's definitely things to like about him. And you have Patrick Peterson, who, sure, he's an older corner at this point, but he is coming off of still another good year for the Minnesota Vikings. I think it was like week 5 or 6 where we were talking about him as a potential defensive player of the year candidate for Minnesota. That cooled off, but he still had a very good year last season. And you have Ahkello Witherspoon in the mix at corner. So there's some options at the cornerback position that definitely could, maybe Chandon Sullivan can do something for you. You have at least some a decent amount of options, and with very good, Minka Fitzpatrick might be the best free safety in football. DeMonte Kazi also a good safety in the mix. So I don't know. Maybe this is a hot take, but I'm going to go tier 2 coverage unit. I think that 2 out of those, 3 corners I mentioned will hit.
That's the hope, at least. They have to prove that. I mean, I like Joey Porter Jr. a lot. I liked him in the draft. I do understand his limitations. I think early on are going to be, he makes, like, when he makes a mistake, it's a bad mistake. That was his issue in college. It wasn't necessarily that he made mistakes. It's that his mistakes were touchdowns or 20-yard flags, or what would be like 20-yard flags in the NFL, because they have different pass interference rules.
Right.
So he can't do that. Obviously those are backbreaking for defenses. So, if he's able to stay disciplined and limit some of those big mistakes, I think this could be a really good group, but he's really got to prove it. And like you said, one of these other guys, if he's not ready, has to prove that they can step up and solidify that position, at least for the time being.
Yeah, completely agree. And to round out the defense with the front 7, TJ Watt, the headliner for this team, really. I mean, you got, debatably, I would say the 2 best pass rushers in this division, or, in the league, are in this division, TJ Watt and Myles Garrett. Alex Highsmith's been a very good sort of rotational guy or number 2 guy when he's had to do that as well. You have Cameron Hayward, one of the best interior defensive linemen in football. Larry Ogunjobi, certainly for the 4th best defensive lineman, you'll take that. I don't know why teams constantly just throw money at him, but definitely very good. And then Cole Holcomb, Landon Roberts as the off-ball linebackers could use some work there. That's kind of the one thing you look at and say, I'd like to see. They added Nick Kwiatkowski, who's had some good years, but not recently. Maybe Tanner Muse is the guy. Quan Alexander is in the mix. So, that kind of brings the run defense down to me to tier 2, but tier 1 pass rush. And you also have Zachary Stewart with a super chat. We appreciate that. Zachary saying Joey is from Penn State, so he has a ton of experience watching his offense be terrible, so he should fit right in. Fair enough.
Don't sleep on Penn State this year, man. Drew Allar's the real deal.
Okay.
Or I think it's Aller. Sorry, Aller, not Allar. Never mind. You have no idea who I'm talking about.
No idea. Just going through. I threw a lot at you with the front 7. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you on the pass rush. This group is great. I mean, there's 3 really good pass rushers in this group, especially when you mentioned Watt and Hayward. I'm a little worried about the run defense. Ogunjobi's fine. I don't know. Is it going to be the Rook playing nose tackle, Keanu Benton? I mean, we'll see how that holds up. And then, like you said, I don't think the linebackers are that great behind him. Although I think
Mhm.
Roberts is better against the run than in coverage, so maybe that helps a little bit. But at the same time, that is that's probably my concern is up the middle, how this team defends the run, because I don't think those are great options overall. But you have Cam Hayward, so that'll help a lot.
Yeah, definitely should help. I think this is a team that, yeah, Cam Hayward's great. No one talks.
Yeah.
Why? How come some interior defensive linemen we can't stop talking about, and some we never talk about?
Yeah, I don't know. And the thing is like it's not like he's like it's not like a Jeffrey Simmons situation where he's still pretty young. Like Cam Hayward's been
Mm-hmm.
in the league for feels like a decade now.
Yeah, and Jeffrey Simmons is like also plays for Tennessee, where it's like kind of like the smaller Hayward plays for the Steelers. Maybe it's just because everyone talks about TJ. I bet it's because there's a more there's a better player on the line in TJ Watt, and so because of that, Hayward doesn't get his credit.
I don't know. I felt like Bud Dupree got more hype.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that's probably fair. 10-7 for the Steelers. I'm going to give them 10-7. I think that this feels like a playoff contender.
Uh, yeah, I like that too. I think they can sneak in. I think this team has upside to win 10 or 11 games. I think that they can definitely do that. So I'm with you there. Um, and as Clone Warrior 56 said here, Joey Porter got cooked by Charlie Jones all last year. Charlie Jones cooked everybody.
LMAOO.
Yeah, I forgot that part.
Yeah.
Charlie Jones cooked everyone last year. Charlie Jones is good. You know, no shame there.
Yeah. Also, I realized I forgot to put up the poll in classic me fashion. So I'm going to put that up right now, and I'll reveal the results at the end of the podcast so everyone can vote on that in a different tab. I'll put that up in just a second. Kyle, there are two teams left in this division. You have a team that was fighting for the championship the past 2 years, the Bengals, who lost a Super Bowl by 3 points and then lost a conference championship game by 3 points. You also have the Baltimore Ravens, a team that has gone 4-2 recent, not too distant future, and I think a team a lot of people are very hyped on. Are you going with the hot take? Are you giving Baltimore the number 1 slot in this division, or are you going to give them the number 2 slot?
No, they're going to get number 2, but I'm really excited for this team. I think
Mm-hmm.
I would probably have both these teams around 13 wins potentially. I think they're that good. I love what they've done with this receiving core. I think they've given Lamar Jackson every opportunity to shine with this team. I think Lamar Jackson is an MVP candidate this season, and I think between that, a Ravens defense that we know is probably going to be pretty darn good. Although there are a couple concerns, but not major concerns because it's the Ravens and they figure it out. So yeah, I think this team's really good, and I think that they should definitely be a contender to win this division and potentially win the Super Bowl. So I got the Ravens here at number 2, but I think I think they're closer to Cincinnati than Pittsburgh, Cleveland are to them. So I guess I'll put it that way.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, again, usually it's one of those weird scenarios where usually when a quarterback gets the big money, then we kind of move him down a tier, right? And now we say, okay, well now it's going to be a little more difficult. But it feels like they kind of did the right thing this offseason where they kind of hadn't in years past. And I think and maybe it was, due to Lamar's holding out that kind of has forced this to happen. This isn't the best quarterback head coach duo in football. There are better ones, but it's certainly up there. I mean, I have Lamar and John Harbaugh as both tier 2. They're, both, I think both guys who have holes in their, game or coaching style. But I think without a doubt, the pros outweigh the cons for both of them.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like these are probably high-end tier 2 guys too. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
they're probably closer to tier 1 than some of the bottom tier 2 guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that they're absolutely in that tier. I think they belong in that tier, and I think they belong in the conversation if they have a good year to end up in tier 1. The Lamar stuff has gotten insane. It's been insane since his rookie season, but
Mm-hmm.
what is the health? Like if you want to say he's not healthy, I would give you that. Like he's played 12
Mm-hmm.
games each of his last 2 seasons. I would give
Mm-hmm.
you the health as a concern. People actually try and say he's still not a good quarterback. Like
Yeah.
what exactly do you need to see? Like
Yeah.
I don't get that notion. Lamar is fantastic. Lamar, as long as he's healthy, is going to have a great year. So
Mm-hmm.
I am buying into Lamar Jackson. I am buying into him with this roster around him now. I think they did a lot of good things, and it should only help him be successful.
Yeah, and we kind of have to talk about the weapons, right? Like that's the next thing we have to talk about with this team of, they're a team that, I think Lamar had I think he had his best passing, just pure passing year last year with Bateman when he was out there. I thought that really kind of opened up the offense and really did some nice things. Well, now they don't just have Bateman out there, who I do trust to be at least an effective player when he's on the field. They added Odell, they added Zay Flowers, and they still have Mark Andrews, who's, this, I would probably say the second best receiving tight end in football behind, of course, Travis Kelce. A lot of people kind of look at this and say, yeah, well, what if Odell gets hurt? Yeah, what if Zay Flowers struggles as a rookie? What if they don't? What if they hit? What if Odell and Zay Flowers are exactly who we think they could be? This could be the best receiving core in football. It really has that kind of potential. As of right now, though, due to some concerns, I'm still going to give it tier 2. I think that, again, is Odell, Bateman, are they both going to stay healthy? Is Zay Flowers going to hit right away? I don't know, but are at least like 2 of those 3 guys going to hit? Probably. So give me tier 2.
I'm with you there. And you even mentioned depth. I don't know. Isaiah Likely showed some stuff.
Yeah.
I think some of the hype got a little insane with him. But he showed some stuff of being really competent and being, going to be a productive tight end too. So, I think someone like Devin Duvernay is a guy who can, he can hit the big play. He's got that kind of ability. And I don't love him that much, but at the same time, if Nelson Aguilar is your 5th receiver, that's a heck of a lot better than being his 2nd receiver. Believe me, I know what that feels like.
Right.
So yeah, the ceiling of this team's insane, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Because you look at these weapons, and the last time we saw Odell play, he looked really darn good. Rashad Bateman showed some flashes of being really good last year. Zay Flowers, like you said, he's got all the goods too. This is a very high upside team. The only problem is we mentioned Lamar's track record for health. Rashad Bateman and Odell Beckham do not have the cleanest track records for health either. So there is the other side of this that you can be concerned about, but at the same time, you're not concerned for the Ravens for the lack of talent. This team has debatably the most talented offense in football.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, we have another super chat. We appreciate the super chats from Zach saying, I'm still picking the Bengals. Burrow with good receivers is better than Lamar with great ones. Chase is great anyway. I kind of think you're underselling the Bengals receivers. I think the Bengals receivers, we'll get to it in a second, but I wouldn't just call them good.
Yeah, they're going to have a tier 1 receiving group. I can tell you that now.
Yeah. Yes. Spoilers, Kyle. Maybe I was going to give them tier 5.
I don't think you will.
I'm giving this offensive line tier 1. I like this offensive line. Ooh. I think this is maybe a hot take, but I don't know. Where's the criticism here? Ronnie Stanley and Morgan Moses, very good tackles. Morgan Moses is that guy who you just sign for a 1-year deal and he plays great football for you and then goes somewhere else. I don't get why someone just doesn't lock him down. Interior, Tyler Linderbaum was awesome as a rookie last year. Kevin Zeitler, very good guard. Left guard is the question, right? But I think Ben Cleveland should be fine. I'm not overly concerned about it. And even if he's, not great, I don't think he'll be a mess. So, I like this offensive line. I really like this offense.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I guess maybe I was just thinking, is there enough star power here to make it tier 1? So, not to spoil any future ones, but your tier 1 so far, if I'm remembering correctly, have been Cleveland, Baltimore, Detroit. Have you listed any other ones?
Philadelphia, and then there's one that we haven't talked about yet.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's fair. It'll be interesting. Yeah, I guess it's just there's no. I don't know if there's a bona fide star on this list as far as often, as big of a star of an offensive lineman could be. Would be my one thing, but at the same time, there's not a weakness here either.
Yeah, that's probably fair. The closest might be Linderbaum, honestly.
Yeah,
he's not there yet, but he could be next year.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm. For the halfbacks, it's always weird because the halfbacks in general, it's tier 3. Gus Edwards is fine, J.K. Dobbins is fine, but obviously the results are going to be of a tier 1 running game.
Yeah, they're going to have one of the best rushing offenses in football. I refuse to believe that J.K. Dobbins is just going to be meh his entire career. I don't even care. This guy's good. I know he's good. There is a good J.K. Dobbins in this scenario. I want him to stay on the field, But
Right.
I know there's going to be a version of J.K. Dobbins that's awesome, and I'm ready to see it. So I think it could happen this year.
Yeah, and you got to hey, we'll talk about fullbacks. Patrick Ricard, PFF's highest graded fullback last year, also in the mix. So you got, he gets thrown into halfback room. I throw in fullbacks in that category.
Yeah, I mean he's a stud. I still wouldn't have him over the Juice, but he's an incredible blocker too.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the Juice is more exciting, but I mean, I don't know. You got it. The grade is the grade, Kyle. An 88.6 blocking grade last year.
Yeah, I guess you could debate he's a better blocker. That's fair.
Either way, though, very excited about this Ravens offense. The defense, there's some notes here. This is not as exciting of a defense, although it could still totally hit. I mean, safety tandem of Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams. Like, again, that's another okay, no notes there. Marlon Humphrey, had a real bounce back year last year, which I thought he would. I thought that the down year 2 years ago was more of a fluke. Rocky Sin, one of the more up and down players in the league. And what are we going to get out of Rocky Sin in a good situation in Baltimore? The third corner is a real question. I'm not sure, they added Trayvon Mullen. I'm interested in seeing what he could do. You have Jalen Amar Davis. Is he going to finally show anything? It feels like Brandon Stevens will probably end up being the guy who's that third corner. They have to figure that out. And yes, it's the Ravens, but I can't just say, well, it's the Ravens, so it's fine. I'm going to give it tier 3 coverage with the potential of a tier 1 if everything hits.
There's definitely the potential of it. I think Mullen could be pretty good in this group. I do. I think he could kind of figure it out with this group. So I think that's going to be fine. I also think that I just think they're going to patch it together. I think a Geno Stone could step up into a safety, kind of a nickel role, I think, and also be pretty solid. So I think they got some guys there that could plug into it. It's just which one is it going to be? I think that's fair. Kyle Hamilton, let's talk. I guess take me through your process. Where did you feel like you went wrong with Kyle Hamilton, and what did you see from him last season?
Yeah, I don't know if I look back at that and say like I was completely wrong. I think maybe what I would say is that sometimes you have to say, "Hey, here's this play," because I actually think in some ways I was correct about Kyle Hamilton in the sense of I said, people were talking about him as if he should be a free safety, and I was saying like absolutely not. That's not the way you use Kyle Hamilton. The Ravens, a smart team, drafted him and used him exactly how you should use a Kyle Hamilton, which is part of why he had that success. Now, again, I didn't predict him being the number 1 highest graded safety in football. I think obviously when I said he wasn't a first round pick and he ends up doing that, don't feel great about it. But I think it's probably where I would say I went wrong is like sometimes, these organizations know more than some YouTuber who podcast, right? And sometimes they sit here and say, yes, we see those flaws. We're just not going to use him in that way. I still think that if Hamilton got drafted by a stupid team, we're not talking about him the way we're talking about him. Although I probably undersold his strengths.
That's probably fair. If he was on the Raiders, he'd probably be out of the league already. So
right. Mm-hmm. I just think he's a very specific. Same like Jordan Davis, who had a really good in a small sample size, who also was lower on. It's like those guys are just hard to evaluate because they're not. I think jack of all trades, but they're a master of some, and that's what he can do. And yeah, he was amazing last year.
Yeah, he was fantastic. Anyway, I do think there is an upside with this group. Like you said, it feels cheating to just say, well, I think these guys will be better with the Ravens, but I do think like guys like Rocky Sin and Trayvon Mullen will be better with the Ravens. I trust good organizations more than I try to get more than I hate bad organizations. And I think they are a good organization because of that.
Let's talk about the worst part of this team, which is the front seven. The front seven, there are some holes here. Now, there's some, again, it could hit. Like, there's no area of this Ravens team that you say, oh, yeah, that's going to suck. But, like, the pass rush, I mean, you have David Ajabo, who I'm very excited for. But again, coming off an injury, what are we going to get of him? You have Odafe Owe, who's showed the flashes. He just doesn't do it consistently. I like Tyus Bowser fine as an edge rusher. Those are kind of the pass rush guys right now. As for the interior, I like Travis Jones for what he can do for sure. And you have, again, just a number of guys on the inside. Michael Pierce, Justin Matabuke, Broderick Washington Jr. You have guys on the inside who can do things. Linebackers, Patrick Queen. We got the Patrick Queen talk. He actually had a good year last year. Patrick Queen finally putting it together. And then Roquan, I mean, that's just like a perfect fit for Baltimore. That's exactly how they want to use him. I can't get too excited about this defense. The pass rush, it's tier 5 for me. Yeah, there's some potential. It could be a lot better, but like you're not going to find a single pass rush with no potential and like no room for improvement. Run defense, I like a little better. I think I might actually go to a tier 3 run defense.
Yeah. Maybe Patrick Queen could get some defensive rookie of the year votes for last season.
Yeah, exactly.
He should be getting defensive player of the year if his rookie year was defensive rookie of the year caliber.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I mean that linebacker group's great. Pierce, I think, is solid. I think no, I don't have a lot of complaints with the run defense. I think that group's pretty solid. They really need 2 of these 3 guys to hit, whether it's Bowser, Owe, or Ajabo. And I do think Ajabo has the qualities to be fantastic. We just obviously haven't seen it, and that injury was obviously ill-timed and disappointing. So yeah, I think it's I think it can be really good. We just need 2 of those guys really to hit to prove us that it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So with this team, the Baltimore Ravens, there's a lot to like here. They're maybe the team with the most potential in football. I mean, if everything hits, this could be a loaded roster, and I certainly see that as a possibility. There are some concerns though, and you can't fall into potential too much. I think I've certainly fallen into that trap with the Ravens before. There was a year where I picked them to win the Super Bowl. I believe we both picked them to win a Super Bowl, and it was kind of because of that potential, because of like what they can be. I don't want to fall into that trap again because, like, an injury-riddled team that has injury issues might get injured again. Like that is part of how this works. But yes, there are some concerns. I'm picking them to go 12-5 this year. I think they're a very talented team.
I'll pick them. Why not? I think that they can go to the Super Bowl. I think they have I think they have the qualities. I don't know if I'm going to actually pick them to do it when we do our predictions, but I definitely think that they're in the conversation.
Oh, sure. So when we do the segment, you'll say that you would pick them, so that way Ravens fans are happy. But then you'll say someone else later.
Yeah, basically that's how it is.
In that case, I also predict them to win the Super Bowl, but I might change it when we cover the Bengals.
I already said I'm picking the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. I haven't changed that.
But even that, you said you might change.
I said I reserve the right to change. Like if someone's not ready to play quarterback or something like that. But
okay,
I haven't changed it yet. I guess the question is, like, what does it mean to be a contender in the AFC at this point? Like, you're one of the 6 best teams. Like, okay, great. Yeah. The Ravens are one of the 6 best teams in my mind. Then that makes them a contender. That being said, it's it's a tough conference. Like that this team could win 12 games and then lose in the first round because the conference is that tough. Like, that's definitely in the realm of possibility.
If every team hits their potential, hypothetical scenario where everything hits for every team, do the Ravens win the Super Bowl?
Everything hits.
Yeah, for every team has all of it hit.
I'd put them behind the Chiefs, but they're close. They're probably 2 or 3.
Yeah, they're certainly up there. I think I might pick them, honestly. If they have MVP Lamar Jackson with, this great receiving core, a great offensive line, a great defense, like, yeah, that would be, to me, that would be.
The interesting thing is, like, when, like, you compare them like that, like, I think it's more realistic that, like, Odell Beckham is good and healthy and Rashad Bateman is good and healthy than, like, Sky Moore pans out for the Chiefs, right? Like, that's probably the variance in everything working out. Like, if Sky Moore is great and, like, if the Chiefs have a couple receivers work out and all that, like, yeah, that team's probably winning the Super Bowl again. But we don't know if that's going to work out with those guys. But yeah, I mean, the Ravens have a realistic path to being that, because you look at the guys like, we've seen Odell Beckham be awesome. We've seen Rashad Bateman as soon as last year be awesome. A lot of people like Zay Flowers. So yeah, I mean, that's probably a higher, more realistic than some of the other teams.
Yeah, absolutely. The Cincinnati Bengals are your pick to win this division. Give me a little bit about why you're once again high on the consistently good at this point Cincinnati Bengals.
Because Joe Burrow is going to win MVP, and
Okay, it's a take.
I
Not a
mean, look,
crazy hot take, but he does
no,
have to play the Steelers twice, so we'll see.
yeah, that's true. He does have to play the Steelers twice. Maybe that'll hold him
Uh-huh.
back. But yeah, I mean, he's got all the qualities that can win an MVP. He's got an elite receiving core around him. He's got an offensive line that I don't know how I feel about it yet, but we'll see.
Hmm.
They certainly try to invest in it, and yeah, I think that's they have Joe Burrow and other teams don't. I think that goes a long way.
Definitely goes a long way. We talk about Zach Taylor, who I think has established himself as a fine head coach. Right, he's fine. Has very good traits. Has some things that make you pull your hair out. People got mad at me when I criticized him because I actually watched Bengals games, unlike a lot of other people. Back when they weren't very good. Joe Burrow, though, you're right. He's tier one of a bullet. He's kind of established himself last year as the second best quarterback in football in most people's minds.
Yeah, he's a killer. He just is.
Mm-hmm.
He goes out and balls. The last couple of years, just to go through it, he has over 9,000 yards passing the last 2 years. He's got 69 touchdowns. Nice. So I mean, that he's got almost 70% completion percentage over the last 2 years. I mean, that's unbelievable stuff. I mean, he is one of the most poised passers we have seen over the last decade. It reminds me of a certain someone we both appreciated watching on Sundays. For our respective teams. He played for both of them at one point.
Yeah, LeGarrette Blunt, absolutely.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. So I mean, he has those qualities of some of the greats, and he looks like he looks like he's on that path, and he's going to be in that conversation sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Counterpoint, as someone brings up in the chat, Joe Burrow said he was scared of Harry Potter growing up. That's tough.
He was? Huh.
Afraid of Harry Potter?
What about it? Like, did he say why?
I have to imagine the Dementors, right? Should opposing pass rushers pretend they're Dementors when they're on the field? Should they try to kiss Joe Burrow?
Just
might
wear
be worth a try.
cloaks.
Yeah, exactly. I think Myles Garrett did that. Was that why?
Yeah, maybe. Just scared of Myles Garrett secretly. Yeah, I mean,
I think anyone's afraid of Myles Garrett if you're on a football field as a quarterback. I don't think you have to do extra stuff there.
But he did beat 2 burglars while home alone, so he's got that going for him.
Oh, right, yes. That definitely works out. Let's talk about the receiving core. It's tier 1 receiving core. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. As long as they have those 3 guys, they're tier 1, and they're going to have at least 2 of them for a while. I wish they had a better tight end situation, like Drew Sample and Irv Smith Jr. I like them both as like backup tight ends. Like I wish they had a better, a
Hayden Hurst, if you will.
What's that?
A Hayden Hurst, if you will.
Yeah, I just wish they had another option there, but there's still plenty to. There's the top 3 receivers are still enough to make it tier 1.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with the future of this receiving core, but it's really good right now, so I can't complain about it. And gosh darn it, don't sleep on Charlie Jones. This guy's going to be awesome. I'm telling you right now. This guy's got the goods. Keep an eye. And even you go down this list though, like Trenton Irwin had some moments last year. Like they've got some depth here too. So I feel great about this group. So I mean they're all really good. Jamar Chase is probably going to be an Offensive Player of the Year candidate. And yeah, I mean as long as they're healthy, they're going to be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Offensive line has been Kyle. I have a theory. Do the Bengals know the left guard position exists? Do they look at their roster? Okay, we got 2 tackles, a center, and a guard. We're good.
I guess probably not. I mean, they did draft Cordell Volson, right? Like they're gonna hope that works out.
I guess so. I don't know. I mean, it's very weird how they seemingly. They said, okay, our offensive line is an issue. Don't worry. We'll consistently make sure we have 4 good offensive linemen now. Like, this is back-to-back years they've done this.
Yeah. They've invested in those 4 positions, though, man. They really have. They've tried to make
Mhm.
that work.
Yeah, and I have this as tier 3 offensive line because I do like the other 4 guys. Orlando Brown Jr. I like him certainly a lot more than Chiefs fans do. Jonah Williams, what are we going to get out of him? At the right tackle position, if he plays right tackle, you still do have Leo Collins on the roster. Will one of those guys step up? I guess that's the other concern I have. Ted Carreras at center, I like. Alex Kappa at right guard, I like. But yeah, there's some tackle concerns. I think at the worst case scenario, I think Jonah Williams will just be fine. Maybe like a whatever right tackle. But the left guard position. And like they lost the Super Bowl because they couldn't block with left guard. Like that was like one of the biggest issues, and they just never did anything about it.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly has some concern to it. I mean, I don't is Collins gonna play this year? Like, is he gonna be healthy at any point? Like, do
I'm
they
not sure
bump?
actually.
Yeah, because I was like, do they bump one of those guys inside and hope that's kind of their solution? I mean, I think there are good players here. It's just there's 4 good players, like you said. So it really just comes down to, can they get some development out of Volson, or do one of these guys bump inside?
We have Jackson getting emotional just talking about it. Yeah, exactly. It's offensive line. It's very hard for me.
Yeah. Especially the Bengals. Just tugs on the heartstrings.
Yeah,
We got some questions on defense, though.
they do. The biggest question with this team is the Cam Taylor-Britt of it all. I mean, I think that this is he's such an important piece in this NFL season that of course no one's talking about because it's a number 2 corner. But like, I trust Mike Hilton to be that number 3 guy. Definitely trust Chidobe Awuzie on the outside. I think they want Cam Taylor-Britt to be an outside corner. What will he be able to do? Dax Hill at the safety position had a great preseason play, but he still, you still have to show me you can be a good NFL player. I can't just, say you're good because of one preseason play. Only 150 snaps, didn't really show anything. Nick Scott at the safety position looks like he's going to be the other guy who hasn't shown much. So they have some safety concerns for sure. No denying that. Some concerns at the safety position. And they have some concerns with Cam Taylor-Britt. But again, if Cam Taylor-Britt hits, this is still like a good secondary. I don't think their ceiling is as high as some of the other ones where I say there's like one key issue though. So I'm actually going to go tier 4 coverage unit here.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Are you more concerned with Cam? I know corner is more important than safety. Are you more concerned with Cam Taylor-Britt or trying to replace both of probably the best safety duo in football?
I mean, I guess I think I'm more concerned about Cam Taylor-Britt because of the upside if he hits. Like, if Nick Scott and Dax Hill aren't very good, you can still be a solid, I think in that scheme especially, you can still be like a solid secondary if you have 2 good outside corners. But if you don't have the good outside corner, quite frankly, I don't think they're going to have 2 good safeties next year. I just don't see that as a realistic possibility. Like if Dax Hill hits, that could still help out a lot. But I think I would rather have 2 good corners than a good corner and a good safety.
Yeah, I think that's fair. He got a lot better as the year went along, man. I know he made some big plays down the stretch. He ended up playing a pretty decent amount of snaps with the Awuzie getting hurt too. Like, I think he's got the goods to be pretty good. Obviously, he's shown it in flashes. Can he put it all together to be that number 2 guy?
Yeah, I think it's like even if he hits, like there still isn't a tier 1 coverage unit though because of the safety issues.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but it's definitely a lot better. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The defensive line and the front 7 in general, you have Jermaine Pratt and Logan Wilson, very good off-ball linebacker tandem. And then the edge rushers, Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard have been very good. Trey Hendrickson was actually really good last year. He's one of the weird players where he had one of those 10 sack seasons where he didn't have great analytics, and so we're all like, okay, he's going to get overpaid. And then he just turned into a great edge rusher, since that, which one of those weird things that happened. And Sam Hubbard's a very good number 2 guy. DJ Reader, another one of you love good run stuffing interior defensive lineman, and he certainly is that. You also have, BJ Hill should be a solid number 2 guy. So, as a whole, I like this. And you also have, I should mention Joseph Osai, who unfortunately got remembered for the wrong reasons in that conference championship game, but had a really good game before that moment against his, former teammate in Orlando Brown Jr. You know, I think I like both aspects of this. I'm going to go tier 2 across the board. I don't know if they have the star power to be tier 1 anywhere, particularly, I guess, probably Trey Hendrickson is the best player on this defensive line, I would say. I'd put him above DJ Reader. Or maybe you could put DJ Reader ahead. I'd put DJ Reader ahead, but Trey Hendrickson's certainly in
Yeah.
the mix. But I still don't know, for the pass rusher, who is the superstar to be a top 5 pass rush in football? Can't quite put anyone there, but tier 2s for both.
Yeah, I don't think there's a superstar either, but there are 3 pretty good options, and I think Miles Murphy has some upside too. He's rookie, so take it with a grain of salt this year, but going forward, I do like those first 3 options though, like you said. You're right. Love DJ Reader. Maybe the best outside of Vea, maybe the best defensive tackle in the league. So, that's going to help a lot too. So, I mean, that group there is solid. Can't complain a lot about this front 7. It's just how the guys behind him are going to work. And I guess, I'm not as concerned about this group, but that's just based on what I've seen the last couple seasons. Now, maybe having those players that they did help, but at the same time, it's one of those things like I trust the Ravens wholeheartedly to figure things out, right? I kind of trust Lou Anarumo at this point to figure all this stuff out. Like, I think they're going to be a pretty good defense next year, no matter what.
Yeah. So I'll give my overall record prediction for the Bengals in a second. I want to go to the poll, though. So the poll, it's been up for, 30 minutes at this point. There's, 290 votes on it. It is different than how we have it. They have the actually no, it isn't different. It's currently the same as what we have it, as what you have it. Browns at 5%, Steelers 13%, Ravens 29%, and then Bengals 53%. So it seems like pretty consistently the division winner in the poll is always like right around 50%.
Yeah. I would say I'm assuming San Francisco was a lot higher.
Yeah, they were 80%, but that's been the one exception.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean that feels kind of rightish. I mean, obviously the percentage numbers are going to skew it because everyone's picking one team, but at the same time, yeah, I think the Bengals are the favorites right now. I think that they had the they have what you look for in a Super Bowl contender. That's for sure.
Yeah, and the Ravens, to their credit, have the 29%. That's the highest currently of a team that's projected to finish. That is in second out of the polls. They're the only team to be there. They're the only team to have that much percentage, but not be number one. I'm predicting the Bengals to go 12-5 as well. That's what I think I have, because I think that while the offense should be very good, I trust the offense to be great. There are some defensive concerns. And quite frankly, I think, for Baltimore, you could say there's some concerns, but every one of those concerns I have for Baltimore, there is also a potential answer. Whereas I don't think that the Bengals have a great answer at safety. And while I think the corners could still be good, I think that that's a bigger concern for me right now. And also their offensive line. I'm going to give me the Baltimore Ravens to win this division, Kyle. I have the same record, but I'm going to give me a slight edge to Baltimore.
All right. That is spicy. I definitely think there's a chance for it. I think either of these teams can win the division. Like I said, I have Baltimore closer than Cincinnati. Then I have the next 2 teams closer to Baltimore. I think that they definitely have the opportunity to win it. I think I'm just leaning Cincinnati and what they've proven the last couple of years. I think they've proven that they're the real deal. Obviously they made the Super Bowl. They backed it up with a fantastic season last year. I think that they're still a contender, and I think they're going to be a contender for a long time. So yeah, I like both of these teams a lot, though. I agree. So if I'm remembering correctly, you still have Miami as the number one team in the AFC.
Yes, I had them at, and I had them at 14-3. So I was almost surprised when I looked at that. But yeah, and then I had the Jets and the Bills at 12-5. So I'm not sure what the actual records will match up to. I might go over the full records. Maybe I'll have to do some adjustments to knock some teams down to make it an even 500. But yeah, I mean, as crazy as it sounds, Cincinnati and Baltimore could easily be the best team in the conference or the fifth best team in just those two divisions alone.
Yeah. And that's just, that's just the competitiveness of this division or conference that we've been talking about where, I mean, you have 5 teams currently. We still have 2 divisions to go. I'm not really concerned about the AFC South for this conversation, but you have 5 teams currently slated to go 12 wins or better. So that is impressive so far. I think there could be a couple teams next week as we talk about the AFC West that are also in that conversation. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be a fantastic conference to watch.
Yeah. So we're going to AFC West next week, not AFC South.
That's how we usually do it, right?
I don't. To be honest, I've sort of gotten lost in how we usually do it. I think it's whatever way
ESPN counterclockwise.
Okay, you might be right. It's whatever way ESPN has it written, I believe, is what we do. But we'll do it that way. We'll do West regardless. West is what we'll do next week.
Yeah.
So yeah. Definitely, some contenders in the AFC West, including the team that won the Super Bowl last year and also 4 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, lots to talk about with those two teams. We're really saving the best for last when it comes to the AFC South.
I'll say this, though, and a bit of a teaser for 2 weeks. This is the most interesting the AFC South has ever been.
Is it?
You have Jaguars are interesting. And then
Yeah.
the Texans and Colts each have interesting quarterbacks. I'll say this.
Fair.
It'll be the most interesting division to watch in a long time because you have the young quarterback stuff, and the Jaguars will be interesting.
There'll be 2 really interesting 4-win teams for sure.
I'm not saying it's the best division. I'm just saying it's there's things to talk about, things to look at. I'll easily take, again, there's a reason why I'm not including Tennessee in the mix. Tennessee is going to be better than the Colts or Texans, but they're not interesting. Colts and Texans at least have some intrigue.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess
the Texans are projected to finish worst in the league next year, and then traded that pick to get a defensive lineman. They're an interesting team.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing our preseason picks at the end of that show or at the end of the 6th show?
I think we'll do it at the end of the AFC South. So 2 weeks from now.
Okay, I got to start preparing.
Okay, yeah.
Who's San Francisco going to beat in the Super Bowl?
Right, exactly. Interesting stuff. I believe I picked both the Ravens and the Bengals to make the Super Bowl in the past, and neither one, but they both let me down.
It's the nature of the business. Only 2 teams can make it, right?
I guess so. I was such a high. The first 2 years, I picked it right both times with New England, and then I had Kansas City, and then since then it's been disappointment after disappointment.
I can understand, but we keep going. We grind.
Yes, maybe this year. Tune in next week to figure out who we think is going to win the AFC West. Kyle, let them know where they can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Grondin, and make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Yes, of course. If you like audio only podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, those should be available. Just search On the Sideline Podcast, and you will be able to figure it out. We're getting down to it. Only a couple weeks left until football season.
Yeah, we got 3 weeks? Yeah, 3 weeks. We got week 0 in 10 days, 11 days for college football. That's exciting.
Yeah, sure.
You got to watch college football, man. Everything I say just goes right over your head.
I don't have time to watch a whole other sport. I spend way too much time doing this as is.
I mean, what are you doing on Saturdays realistically?
That's like the one day I have to spend time with my girlfriend because she works Monday through Friday. So I can't then not do that. I could break up with her and watch college football, or I could spend time with my girlfriend. Those are the 2 choices.
That's a tough choice.
Okay, maybe for some people it's a tough choice. It's not a tough choice for me. No, but it's I watch the occasional college football game.
Fair enough. Well,
but also it's like if I'm not that into it, like I'm not going to make content on it. I feel like if you're going to make content on something, you have to really love it.
Well, there is not a lot to watch in week 0, so you don't have to watch it.
I won't. I will. I probably will. I probably will watch because I just want football to be on so badly.
Unless you want to watch San Jose State at USC.
See,
Caleb Williams.
that's the issue. That's why college football doesn't work for me. Week 1, you need to have one game that's like a hyped up game. That should be the first game every year. Like similar to how the NFL first game is always the defending champ playing somebody. Have the defending champ play somebody.
Well, since they've done this week 0 stuff, it kind of like it minimizes like the intrigue of like the opening games because not everybody wants to do week 0. So like the best, like USC is playing a game and like Notre Dame's playing a game, which I don't know why more teams don't do it, by the way, because you get a second bye. But that's besides the point. You can get UMass at New Mexico State, debatably 2 of the worst teams in Division 1.
Ooh.
And then what is it? Going to actual week 1, you've got LSU at Florida State Sunday night, September 3rd.
Okay, well, there you go. I won't be checking that out, but maybe you could. Let's get out of here, Kyle. Any final thoughts?
Looking forward to football. It's right around the corner. We also got World Cup basketball around the corner next week. So a lot going on. Sports are back besides baseball. Should be exciting.
Well, baseball is on. I get what you're saying. It's not back because it's on.
Yeah, it's been back.
Yeah, right. For a second, I thought you were just like, who cares about baseball at this point?
No, it's closer to not back now.
Right. Yeah. But everything else is good. Yeah. Again, thank you to everybody. We do appreciate it. And until next time, have a good one.
Peace.